and very troubling survey on campus sexual assaults shows that colleges are not just failing to respond to attacks, but in some cases fostering an atmosphere that deters assaults from being even reported. Senator Claire McCaskill, a former sex crimes prosecutor, released the findings of the report this week. It was taken from a survey of 440 four-year institutions. I want to go through some of the most disturbing findings that came out of this report. First of all, more than 40% of schools surveyed have not conducted a single investigation into sexual assault on campus in the last 5 years. Also, more than 30% of the schools surveyed do not provide any sexual assault training for students, and more than 20% of those institutions provide no response training for faculty or staff. Let's talk about this with Mary Haviland. She is the executive director of the New York City Alliance Against Sexual Assault. She joins us now. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I was stunned, I think a lot of us were, when we read this report in terms of just looking at those facts. How many institutions don't train their staff and their students how to deal with this? And in terms of, 40% of them not investigating a sexual assault in the last 5 years. Let's start with the facts. How prevalent is sexual assault on college campuses?
Well, the statistics indicate that about 1 in 5 girls or women on college campuses will experience a sexual assault while they're in college. It's 1 in 5. That's very high.
It's very high. It's a stunning number. And when you look at this, let me read you part of what Senator Claire McCaskill, who led this study, what she said. She said many institutions continually the law and fail to follow best practices in how they handle sexual violence. This report found some of those stunning numbers that we went through in terms of training staff, in terms of training students. Why do you think this is the case in this day and age?
Well, I think there's several reasons. I think, first of all, colleges are very concerned about their reputation and their reputation for safety and their reputation for the students who go to their schools. The second thing is that I think people underestimate the harm and trauma of sexual assaults that are committed by people who are known to the victim. Many people have the conception that somehow stranger victimization is much more serious and much more harmful.
Right.
And since many of the assaults on college campuses, probably 75 to 80%, are between people who know each other, or maybe acquaintances, or maybe ex-boyfriend, girlfriend,
right.
I think there's an underestimation of the harm that it causes. And the third thing is that, change takes time. This issue has been around for the last 30 years, and we have been working really hard to address it, but it takes time.
Yeah, and you say some of these colleges concerned about their reputations. I mean, you would think they'd want to get out in front of this and say, we know this is a problem. Let's not just not talk about it. Let's address it. So you're an expert in this. What changes do you think can be made at these institutions that will actually be the most effective?
Well, I think there's a few changes. One is, I think that the colleges have to set up a system of confidential reporting, flexible versions or formats for reporting, whether that's online, in person, access to people outside in the community who are experts in this. That's the first thing. I understand that some universities will not be able to preserve that confidentiality, but it has to be clear when they can and when they can't, when they have to take the greater public good into account. The other thing that I think people must be aware of is that there are people on the outside of colleges and universities who have been doing this work for a very long time, and they have, whether that's prosecutors, whether that's rape crisis centers, and they have suggestions about how to address this issue. I would urge the colleges and the universities to reach out to them and talk to them and engage them in task forces or whatever. But certainly internally, the colleges have to be coordinating their efforts to address sexual assault. They have to have resources for survivors. They have to have an impartial grievance procedure. They have to have a coordinated plan that involves understanding Title IX, understanding the Clery Act, understanding the new VAWA regulations that require prevention education on campus. Right. And lastly, they really have to engage in some evidence-informed prevention practices that are being used in the field.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Stunning statistics coming out of this this new report. Mary Haviland, appreciate the expertise coming on and talking about this with us today.